way. But my walls came down when your love shone through. Now my life will never be the same. You love me too much to let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain, oh Lord. 'Cause you are above every name, Jesus. Always set me free.
Good morning. Welcome to the Warrior's Way. We are here at UCAN Studios. Say good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
All right, we're going to get to him in just a second. If this is your first time and you are struggling, or you know someone that's struggling with drug rehabilitation or needs somewhere to go to UCANMichigan.com. That is UCANMichigan.com. You can click on there, get help within 24 hours. If anything dealing with drug rehabilitation, mental health therapy, Narcan training, if you know someone that's struggling, because these egg prices are ridiculous. You need food or clothes or baby formula or whatever, go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. Click on struggling. We have 17, 18 different nonprofits all there for free or next to free. And if you're doing good, we all know somebody needs help. So help us, help them, help you. All right. How are we doing this morning, Ben?
Doing well, Isaac.
Well, we normally have nonprofits on, but Ben is a friend of mine. He's just got a super unique story, and his personality is exceptionally cool. And I just wanted to let you guys meet him. Now, your last name, say it, Cusick?
Cusick. C-U-S-I-C-K.
All right. So we just met by happenstance and got to yakking. And you, for a living, do what?
So I am a YouTuber. Oh. So I do like science education invention videos.
Okay. And when you told me that, I was like, wow, I have an itty-bitty little podcast thingy. And so you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, full-time for over 10 years.
Wow.
Yep. And I've been on YouTube since early 2007. YouTube became a thing in 2006, so right at the start. So
right at the beginning.
Yep.
So you caught the wave right at the top.
Caught the wave, yeah. For
outstanding.
Sure,
now, how old were you when that happened?
That would have been...
So 06, so...
Yeah, I would have been 16, 17.
16, 17. Yeah. All right.
I'm 33 right now. Yep.
Yeah, young fella.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so you did that 2006 and 2007, and you did that because you were interested in what?
Yeah, so at the time, there was no real way to post a video to the internet prior to YouTube that was easily shareable. And so I was on all these different science forums. I was really into fireworks. And so I was on all these amateur pyrotechnic forums and professional pyrotechnic forums.
Yeah.
And turns out there's a lot of people out there that build their own fireworks.
All right, so you started a YouTube channel at 16 or 17 because you like to blow things up.
Yeah. So I would have tried to avoid that that kind of description a little bit because, I was like, okay, yeah, I once liked to blow things up. Now this is an art.
Yeah, no, listen, you were 16 or 17 and getting into pyrotechnics is like, yay.
Oh no, not getting into pyrotechnics then. That's when I was developed. I was getting into pyrotechnics when I was very much younger.
All right, explain that process. So it's just something you've always liked.
Yeah, so I have on my dad's side, he has a pretty big family. He's one of eight brothers and sisters.
One of eight?
Yeah.
Where's he fit?
He is the second oldest.
Oh.
Second oldest, third oldest? Yeah, second oldest.
So semi in charge.
Yeah, semi in charge.
Okay.
But he has a sister, my aunt, who is she's awesome. She took me and all my cousins camping at least every year growing up. But she always brought sparklers. That's the only fireworks she would tolerate having around. That's the only one she ever wanted us to play with. Yeah. And I'm like, I played with those for a little while, and then I'm like, all right, what can I do with these things? So my other cousins are running around drawing their names or whatever, the sparklers, and I'm like crushing them up by the fire and like making a trail of the powder to something
to blow something up.
So that's when I was like young.
Yeah, so you were born with that gene, and then you got into the science part. When did that part kick in?
Yeah, that kicked in probably maybe 14, 15, yeah.
So what was it? Like you were into it, and then you really want to figure out the exact way to do it?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess every time I would find after 4th of July, I'd like walk the street where I grew up. I grew up in like Berkeley area near Detroit. And when I was pretty young, after 4th of July, I'd walk around and I'd find unshot bottle rockets, and I'd find like unshot fireworks, and I'd want to like take those apart and see how they work, which that's illegal. So I don't.
Yeah, and we're not recommending that you do
I don't
that.
recommend
And
that.
you were how old?
I at that time I was probably 6, 7.
So you're just a kid.
Yeah, just a kid,
like
yeah.
interested in it.
Yeah.
And then it's just what's interesting about your story is something that you had a passion for. Your kid, you just kind of turned it in, and then you turned it into a career, right? And
Sure.
The name of your YouTube channel is NightHawkInLight.
You got it.
All right. Took me a minute to get that when he first told me, and you said that was your
That was like
Xbox like name.
Yeah, it was like an old AIM screen name or something.
Okay.
So, no.
So if you want to check out what you're doing, so I want to get the rest of the story, but basically kind of tell people what kind of things you do.
Well, these days, so I started off my YouTube channel with posting fireworks videos,
Right.
like fireworks that I built, taking videos of them and posting them to these fireworks forums. That was my original intent, but then as YouTube began to grow, I started getting a following on YouTube, like independently of all my friends on the forums. And so then my channel sort of evolved from there. Years down the line, I realized there's totally legitimate ways to build fireworks. There's a great organization in Michigan.
Yeah, we're going to get to all that.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But so I kind of moved away from that from my channel, though, because it's a little legally troublesome, and even if you're legal, you're just barely legal.
I just think it's awesome at 6.
Now-
You're like, man, I wonder how big I can make this blow up.
yeah, right. So, and I got in trouble for that back.
Oh, I'm
when
sure. I'm sure your parents were thrilled.
They were, but my mom said as soon as my dad said, "Hey, can you make one of those bigger?" and I said, and my mom said when she heard my response, which was, "No, that wouldn't be safe." She was like, "Okay."
Wait, you were the
he's good."
responsible one?
Oh yeah.
That's so awesome.
And to this day, I have done. I mean, I do. So these days, my videos have evolved from fireworks related stuff to a broader range of science.
And we're going to get to that part, but the fact that you were the responsible.
Oh yeah, even
so
now
perfect.
I am overly cautious
Yes.
whenever I run into someone who's like, "Hey, can you help me do some dangerous thing?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah, because we were having this conversation over at our social club, and we were hanging out, and Todd come up, and you're like, "Oh yeah, there's a whole forum for this," and he was like, "That is so amazing," and you're like, "Now wait a minute," and you're like, "I just want to make sure you're clear," and you are very cautious, you're very methodical. I actually like that about how your brain works, and we just hit it off, which was great. So. All right, so 6 years old, you're finding black cats and you're hanging out, and then from 8 to 16, you kind of just kept doing that, or the passion that kept growing, or what?
Yeah, more or less. So in the meantime, we moved out to the country, roundabout Flint here.
Yeah.
And I still continued exploring different different chemical reactions, things like that, and started to move away from the just sheer excitement. Like if you go back in time, you look at like famous scientists of the past, chemists, they all started, they're missing things.
Oh yeah, the Dow guy, I think, blowed up his chemical twice before he came up with something, right?
Oh yeah, so I migrate. You start with just that spark of interest.
Yeah,
and
spark of
and
interest.
then if you keep pushing through it, you realize, wow, I've actually learned a lot of stuff through this stupid, crazy hobby thing that I'm doing. And so my knowledge base started with fireworks related stuff, and just has kept on. I keep stacking a little at a time. And
all right, so when did you decide to do? You're like, hey, I'm going to do this YouTube thing. Like you started at 16 and you started posting, and then when did you decide? Wow, I really want to do this.
Well, I never realized it could be a like something someone does for a living until it just happened. So I just was.
So you're doing it just because you like it.
Yeah, I do. I was doing it because I like it, and I was getting a positive response for what I would share, and I'd get feedback because I'd be working on something, and there'd be other people working on the same thing, and they'd comment and tell me what I'm doing wrong or what I can do better, and so it just kind of grew organically. And at the time, also as alongside my fireworks stuff, not my fireworks stuff, my YouTube stuff is growing.
Yeah.
I'm running a small landscaping company with a friend. We bought a landscaping company, and I always figured that I'd do something like that.
Yeah.
I figured that I would have. I never thought of myself as having like applying for jobs. I never thought of myself as ever going out and applying for jobs. I wanted to make my own somehow.
That's not how most people think,
no,
right?
I'm very weird. Yeah.
No, and I love that. The nerds hanging out, the nerderies doing nerd things.
Yeah.
Apply for a job.
Yeah,
what?
but now I see. Oh, you don't get insurance that way. You gotta,
right.
Pay for that stuff. Yeah. So anyways.
All right. So 16, 17, you're doing these videos. So give us an example of what the first things were. What were you doing? Were you making the fireworks, or how? Just give an example of like.
Yeah, I'd make a fireworks shell. That's like what you'd call a mortar. Mortar's actually little educational lesson here. The mortar is not the firework. The mortar is the tube that the shell launches out of.
Okay.
So you have I would make a shell and launch it out of a mortar, and you got to learn the process to make the little stars inside. That's what shoots out in the air, gives you the big flower effect.
Yeah.
There's like more than 1,000 different like ways you can go about making those to do different effects.
And you show people how to do that?
Some
At 16 or 17, you were figuring this out? See,
yeah.
I'm older now, and I'm like, wow, that sounds cool.
Oh, it's cool. And there's legal ways to do it.
Of course.
Yeah. At 16 or 17, not really. But
yeah. But now that you're 30-something.
There's this huge convention in the U.S.
Yeah, so what's it called?
The Pyrotechnics Guild International. It's it's an international organization, but they have a big blowout once a year. And there's people that come from all over the world and all over the country that like own fireworks manufacturing facilities.
Wow.
You can get licenses to manufacture stuff, and they just go there and they show off to each other. And so it's like it's the best of the best showing off, like bringing their best to show off to the people they really care about impressing. So it's cool.
Like you could build a specific firework for someone and have this response to it. It's basically what, like if you wanted the stars, if you wanted the squares that float down, or whatever it was that came up with.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff, but the legalities, you can't just give these fireworks.
Yeah, no. That's where your brain was at.
Yeah, that's where my brain was at. I wanted to because fireworks are a like beautiful art form, and I love it. I don't do so much of it these days because I've moved on to so many other projects.
Yeah,
it's hard to keep track.
It was important that people understood your passion.
Yeah, this is where I came from. This is where I got my chemistry knowledge and stuff based on these things.
Right, and I found that to be amazing because I've not even met another person that's done that. But we have to go to our first break, so sit tight. If you haven't gone to spiritualwarfareunit.com, like, share, and subscribe. Help us help you. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You click on our episodes, and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program.
Text.
Yeah, right. So, militarily there might be an issue. So, All right, welcome back to the Warrior's Way. Our warrior this week is Ben Cusick, and he's from the NightHawkInLight YouTube channel. We're just talking about how he got his start, and you were doing self-made pyrotechnics, I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long was that like your focus?
Oh, probably 10 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff did you come up with that you revisit now and go, man, that was cool, or man, I shouldn't have done that? Or
Yeah, I mean, so everything I still have fond memories of like big fireworks that I made, multi-break, like stuff that goes up, breaks several times.
Wow.
But as far as things I shouldn't have done, not. just in general, I hit a breaking point at one point with that where I realized I'm taking off on YouTube. There's some stuff that, like, I'm doing my best to conform to laws and stuff just because I have a strong, like, internal conscience, like, voice in my head that tells me don't be. Don't,
Jesus, take the wheel.
Just I want to do things right.
Right.
And I realized the way I was doing things, it just got too complicated. And so I had a breaking point where I'm like, I just shouldn't be building fireworks anymore on YouTube. If I'm going to do this, I need to go do it in an official way.
Now, was there like a moment where you're like, this is it? Like there was a significant thing that happened. And you're like, okay, I'm done. Or was it just a gradual decision over time?
It was a gradual decision over time. Yeah. And in the meantime, I also started doing things. I was watching the show Mythbusters, and so I started replicating some of the stuff they were doing.
Yeah.
So I started naturally migrating away from the fireworks stuff also.
All right.
And so I started getting into more like various toys and gadgets and things that were kind of homemade devices, homemade inventions.
All right. So did Mythbusters be the thing that was like the idea of I want to kind of transfer? I like that part because you got into the science part. Like when you break stuff down, you make it all make sense. It seems very simple when you're doing it, and then when you try what you're doing, it's not as simple. But like,
so the Mythbusters definitely inspired that shift in my channel because not so much because I was so interested in that shift, but because when I started. There was one particular project I did, like a paper crossbow. Like, this is probably not the greatest thing to talk about here. So, but like, could someone in prison make a paper crossbow and like spear somebody? And I'm like, I could do that so much better than Mythbusters did.
Yeah, you can. Being a jail chaplain, they actually can take toilet paper and they can make a bar.
Yeah, right.
That can hold a 350-pound man.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So I figured I could do something like that.
Then you did it?
And I did something like that.
Okay.
I ended up making it more of a toy than it shot a pencil. But that video blew up. That was one of my first, like, major, like, wow, my channel could really take off from this kind of stuff. And so that was a natural shift into making, like, more toy-like stuff. And as time has gone on, I've still done that every once in a while, but got more and more into, all right, I want to start making stuff that can actually make a difference in people's lives.
All right, so the first time that you decided to make something that was going to help somebody, what was that? What was that video? Do you remember?
Ooh.
Good question, right?
I don't necessarily remember.
What's the first one that hit really big when you did it? Do you remember that one?
So the first one was that paper crossbow.
Yeah.
Second to that, the one that to this day has taken off faster than any other is this is so stupid. I hate being known for this video. How to scramble an egg inside of its shell. So
how to scramble an egg inside a shell. Why do you feel upset about that? I'm sitting here going, okay, I think I want to know how to do that.
Because who cares? But I mean,
apparently a lot of people.
Yeah, but it doesn't make a difference for anybody. So
you don't know. You can be on the road, and that matters.
It could be. Anyway, you take an egg, you put it in like a long, like a pantyhose or something, and you twist it up and you pull it like I don't know what. There's toys that do that, and it spins it super fast.
Shut
in the
up.
middle.
And then and then it's scrambled?
It's scrambled. And you boil it, and then you crack it open. There's no yolk. It's just solid, like, all the way through. Like
how does your brain come up with something like that? You just are like, yeah, you know what, my eggs, I wonder if I could do this without, like...
Well, in that case, I'd actually seen it done. Apparently, it's been done in the Philippines or something like that, but it was unknown on the internet.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It's the simple things.
Yeah, and that took off everywhere. That was on, like, AOL, when AOL was still a big deal.
Yeah.
It was, like, on the homepage, and I forget all the websites that were a big deal back then, but it was everyone I knew had seen it. And
how old are you?
It still goes around on Facebook to this day, that video, around Easter every year.
Nice.
So
what was your family? How old are you when that hit?
When that one hit, I might have been... Gosh, it's almost like 20, 21, something like that.
All right, so you're 21. What is your family thinking?
I have no idea.
Like, whatever, you're just doing your thing?
Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time, and I mean, they were excited for me because it was taking off, and I was making money from it at that point.
Yeah.
And so, so I mean, it was just, it was great. I was still living at home at the time.
All right, so you're 21, living at home
Yep.
with your parents.
Yep.
And like, did you just know at this point that, well, this is going to be a income stream that I'm going to do as a job, or you're just still just having fun with it?
At this point, it's starting to be something. It's starting to look like that. I'm at this point, I own a landscaping company with a friend of mine,
right?
And that's kind of starting to grow old a little bit. And so this is a guy that his family owns a cider mill. So every cider season, he's got to take off, and I'm running the business by myself. And I'm like, oh man, I love working with this guy. He's like one of my favorite people in the world. But man, when he's not there and it's just me by myself,
it feels like work.
It's like, it feels like work, man. So at that point, I was like, all right, you've got your cider mill thing. You're going to move into that. I'm going to move into this. Let's sell this business and move on.
So you were able to do that, and you were how old when you did that?
I think I was mid-20s at some point. Yeah.
So at mid-20s, you already made and sold your first business.
Didn't make it. We bought that business, but yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. So bought that business, sold that business, doing this, and then what happens next?
So at that point, so I'm living with my parents. They were really kind to me. I was at a huge advantage to live rent-free with them for a long time and build up an income to be able to buy my own place, because with what I'm doing, the kinds of like experiments that I do and stuff, that is not rental friendly. Like, I need my own place to have this job.
I can imagine the manager comes in, we've had some disturbance calls. I don't, like, all I picture is like, what was that friend or comes to the door, Fraser comes to the door, his hair's just smoking. Yeah. Oh, hey, how are you? Yeah. It's not, you need kind of some privacy.
So I needed some space with the scientific stuff, along with those silly videos. I was also like, trying to advance in what I was doing. So
all right, so this is the time at 21, 22 where you started to hit the more scientific, helpful things for people, right?
It's when I started to get concerned about that and wanting to do something that's actually helpful for people.
All right, and why that versus something else? Like, why was it important that you did stuff to help people?
Well, so I grew up. My parents are Christian. I grew up in church, and I always had like this vision of if I'm not going to like become a pastor, like do so, like I kind of wanted to become a missionary. I went all over the place on missions trips, and I went to Mongolia and Honduras and Mexico. And
all right, what's your favorite memory out of those?
Oh man. So in Mongolia, this was. We had family friends over there. My dad grew up with a guy that ended up being... You have family friends in Mongolia? Yeah, they're not there anymore, unfortunately, but they were there for a long, long time. And so I went over there to visit them, and we went out. I went to Mongolia for their an outreach week where they go out to an extremely rural village with like one power line running to like the mayor's house or something. Wow. And so we're out there in the middle of nowhere in Mongolia, and they get the water out of the well with like this milk can. Okay. And it's got a rope attached, and I let the rope just run through my hands. Oh no! And the rope just goes down, the bucket just goes down into the well. You just robbed them of their water. I'm like, what? Oh man! I came here to help. And the kids, and like, there's these kids, and the little kid next to me starts taking his shirt off. It's like he's going down there, and I'm like, no, you're not. Yeah. No, I've got to do that. So you had to go in the well? I went down into the well, and it was like going like that, like down the well like that. Or no. Did I hold on? I held onto a rope. I was on a rope, and I climbed down the rope. Oh my gosh! You get down like 30 feet into a well, and it's cold down there, man. And I didn't expect that because it's like 100 degrees. Yeah, out. So it's cold freezing down there, and like you don't want to like fall in the water. Yeah, because for a couple of reasons, like it's cold and like contaminated, or like you'd contaminate it or whatever. Oh no! And so I like grab the bucket and I have it with one hand, and they start yanking on the rope to pull me out, and I'm like, no, I got to climb out of this myself, man. So did you fix the milk? I got the bucket out, but and then we had these team like shirts to show that we were. Yeah. I mean, did they thank you for all your help? So I like muddied this thing up right before they were going to take like the group picture or something, and I'm like trying to scrub it out, and like the Mongolian women are on their porch like laughing at how they're like, "Come over here, we'll show you how to do this."
No
like,
kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a good one.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's and how long were you there?
I was only there for like 2.5 weeks or so. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, man, helping people is one of the greatest things in the whole world, right?
Yeah, and you want to make an impact.
Right.
And so when I moved out of my parents' place and I bought my own house, that was kind of like a watershed moment. Before I signed the paperwork, I went on a big, long solo road trip, camping trip, trying to figure out, is this really what I want to do? Because if I buy this house, I'm not going to become a missionary, probably.
Right. That's rooted.
Yeah. I'm going to be locked down, and I didn't want to do that. Right. But I did. I ended up doing it, and at the time, my channel took off even further. I started doing even better on YouTube, I don't know. I was still doing videos that I thought were pretty meaningless.
Yeah.
In a sense.
How long was that road trip?
That was 2 weeks or so.
Yeah. Did you go anywhere like that you wanted to go? Like, I want to do this before?
I had already camped. I just
like
went
saw
around
the
Michigan.
largest potato in the world or something?
I went around Michigan. I went camping, basically went out in the woods, and
great place to think and be quiet, right?
Yeah, great place to think and be quiet. That actually was a really fun trip. That was I ran into people that I'm a pretty I'm more outgoing now than I was then, but even now I feel like I'm not that. I don't reach out to a stranger.
Yeah.
But so I picked up hitchhikers. I'm pretty good mechanically from owning my own business. By necessity, you have to learn how to repair your own stuff. Yeah. And there was a guy at a campground that as I was setting up my tent, he's got his big a big RV, and he hits the radiator against a rock in the campground, and all the coolant spills out, and they're just pulling in for this is their one vacation a year.
No.
And it's a big deal. And this guy that's just stoned out of his mind is it's probably this. I'm like, okay. And
let me help.
Yeah, let me help. And I over prepare for all my trips. I had a 1986 pickup truck that I was constantly repairing. I had all these tools, and then we got the radiator patched in the campground and stuff. And
man, that's cool.
That was so fun.
Well, we got to take a break.
Yep.
So if you haven't checked out NightHawkInLight, do that on the break. Please like and subscribe on Spiritual Warfare Unit. Sit tight. We'll be right back.
I'm really impressed with the teachings that Isaac has been bringing to us, as this is all based from Proverbs.
I like it because it's simple, and it doesn't matter who you are. It's very easy to understand and apply to your life.
It points out, my bad parts, and, but it's showing me how to do the good parts. And, I'm trying to apply that and, make a better life for myself, because I'm tired of where I've been.
It's impacted a lot of the guys as they continue to talk and ask questions after the meetings, as they speak to one another regarding the meeting and the messages and the topics that are being brought up, which are down-to-earth topics of situations and things that we live with on a day-to-day basis.
He takes the Bible and he breaks it down into simple terms and where you can understand. And like I said before, sometimes a lot of churches, even the Salvation Army, sometimes we start using these big words that people don't understand, like even saying someone got saved. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean when you say someone got saved? And it's accepting Jesus into your heart. So it's words like that we use that people don't understand.
It's just very interesting how he points out, the different things of, the sin part, and then he comes back with the, how to make it better, and he just points it out. It's there. I didn't know all this stuff was in there, but now that he's pointing it out, it's wow, I guess if you really dig into the Bible, you find these things.
This is a daily moral standards that we can live by, that the teachings are coming from. And honestly, we can take verse by verse as what he's done, and pretty much he's done the hard work for us and now laying it out so that we have an easier understanding.
There's some people who don't like to be in Bible classes, but this one seems to get their attention.
All right, welcome back to UCAN Studios. We are here with my buddy Ben, and he was just getting into his trip before he decided he was going to grow up and be an adult. And so you had gone on this trip, and you just finished up saving this family from a hippie guy that was stoned trying to fix a radiator, which is a hilarious story. And you said you were over-prepared, so you're able to help this guy on their family trip for the whole year.
Yep.
And then you came back, you said, all right, I'm going to settle down and I'm going to start doing this. And you started to move your channel towards stuff that helped people. So what kind of things did you start doing that considered helping people?
So when I say help people, I more mean investigating scientific stuff that actually is going to make progress. Like, for example, I investigated some fireproofing products and how different fireproofing products work. And that's actually something that I'm working on currently. It's a video that's not been released yet, but
yeah, no, you can't just shoot that out there. Let's back up for a second. So what kind of fireproof, like why are you looking into it? And what kind of fireproofing stuff?
Okay, so here's where it's like something that's suitable for an entertainment video also. So there was this guy in Ireland in the 80s that invented this fireproof product that he went on TV, and he was like this excellent salesman. He's like, I got this putty that I can smear over an egg and put a torch against it.
Putty?
Yeah.
Okay.
And put a torch against it for like 5 minutes, and the egg is still raw inside.
No way.
And so I saw a documentary on this guy, and I'm like, okay, I have some ideas about how that might be functioning, and that leads me into investigating this, recreating materials like this, and then discovering that there's this whole like variety of fire-resistant materials out there that are on the market, but people don't know about.
Really?
And so there's so that's would be one example. Yeah, you can prevent your house from burning down with like some of this paint that you can put on your walls. And
fire-resistant paint?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it works amazingly well.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all the women are going to know if it looks good.
Yeah, it was white.
It was white? Well, like eggshell white or whatever. That works. Right?
So another example would be...
like if it was pink or something.
Yeah. But another example of a project that I'm working on, already made videos about, and I'm continuing to work on, is paint that actively keeps stuff colder than air temperature.
All right, hold on a minute. Paint that keeps your house colder than the air temperature. An air conditioning paint?
Yeah. Yep.
What?
Yep.
That's a thing?
That's a thing, and
Hold on. How does it work?
Okay, so is anyone that knows anything about physics know you can't just...
I don't.
Okay. Heat always flows from a hot object to a cold object, and it balances out.
Okay.
To get something to make... You have two objects here, and you want to make one of them hotter, that takes energy. You want to make one of them colder, that takes energy. It takes work, and you got to like put effort into it. That's why it takes fuel to run your air conditioner at home.
Got it.
So this paint, it emits a certain wavelength of light that passes through the atmosphere.
Wait a minute. The paint emits light?
Yes.
How does it do that?
So an infrared camera. You ever seen an image through an infrared camera? How you'd be glowing bright red if you saw it?
Yeah.
So we're all emitting light in an infrared spectrum.
It's using people as the energy.
No. That's just an example. Everything emits this kind of light.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so it emits it in a range that goes right through the atmosphere off into the coldness of space. And space is frigid cold.
Right.
And so you have heat flowing from hot objects, being our houses or whatever, off into the coldness of space. And it's the same reason why it gets colder at night than it does in daytime, because stuff just emits all its energy off into space, and the sun isn't.
So you're telling me that you could help people with their electric bills if they got this paint to cool their house?
Yeah, or in places where there's no electricity.
Wow.
Stuff like there's a lot of uses for it.
How did you hear about that?
So it's an active area of research.
Wow.
What I do for many of my videos now is I'm looking into active areas of research, pulling up papers that people have developed paints like this, and I'm trying to figure out some spin on them that I can improve them, like put two ideas together and make them work.
I don't even think people have heard of this before. Like this is the first time air conditioned paint. Like I just got my interior repainted, and I'm like, Dang it.
Yeah. So it doesn't work on the inside of buildings, though. It's got to be on the outside because it's got to face the sky.
It's like the roof.
Yeah.
No, so like on...
But it's not ready for...
No. So like businesses, when they put that silver...
Yeah, it's the same idea.
paint,
They're trying to
it's
keep it cool.
reflecting
That's reflecting, and it does a pretty good job, but it doesn't get below air temperature.
But the actual outside, and being a person that had to work on a roof back then doing, like I'll tell you, that was roasting.
That is hot.
San Antonio in August is not cool.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that's super interesting. So actually, you're like doing stuff still with fire, just on the safety side versus on the
I go back and forth. I go back and forth.
Non-safety side.
Yeah.
And I had gone through some. So you were 21, 22 when you started doing that kind of stuff?
No, this is in very recent years that I actually got. These are my most recent sort of projects.
So let's get back
to the middle.
All right, so let's get back to 21. You get the house.
Yep.
Right, and it's a kind of rural area.
Yeah.
And in Flint zone-ish.
Yep.
And single, dating life. Are you into work, or do you?
I'm into
work.
work.
A social person? Like I'm not.
I'm not a social person at all. In fact, I can be totally satisfied not seeing another human being for a week or two.
And have you always just been like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just get focused on what it is you're doing, and I'll do something, and it's 2 weeks later.
So when I was a kid, I thought I was too cool for people. The joke is I was the least cool kid there was. But I thought it was because you were so cool. I'm too old for my age. I'm like, so I like just fostered that throughout my life and I'm trying to fight back against that now. No, I need to engage with other people. I need to.
Yeah, because the best thing about the planet is people, and sometimes the worst thing about the planet is people. Just kind of depends on where they go, right?
Yeah, but it's the whole purpose of why we're here, to be with each other, and so it's I was doing my own thing at this time when I had just bought my house. For the first few years, I'm pouring myself into my work.
Sure.
And I'm sure I went a week without seeing anybody.
Really?
Oh yeah. It just at my house, just working on stuff.
Yeah.
And realized that's not the healthiest way to live.
Yeah. It's really weird where you get up and it's just been days, right? And you're like, oh, what day is it? What time is it?
Yeah. And in fact, actually, because I work for myself, I work from home. And here's the thing: when you're recording video and I live on a sort of busy road, it's quieter at night. I can record audio, and so I started like just staying up all night and sleeping during the day a lot of the time.
Oh no, very vampiric.
Yeah, and I still kind of enjoyed that. Like, if I could do that today,
less distraction, right?
Yeah. It only takes a few buses driving by and interrupting your shot to be like, oh gosh, yeah.
And that perfectionist gene is just killing you at that point, right?
Yeah, for sure. But so that was a good time for my business, not such a good time for my spiritual life, not a good time for my social
skills.
lives. Yeah. And so a few years down the line of that, I started engaging a bit more with, I should say I realized I needed to engage more with people. So I started, I met my wife online. Mm-hmm. We started dating. I had a friend throughout this whole period that was going through a real rough time at the same time as I was meeting my wife.
So before we get into this, I mean, that loneliness, that people don't talk about, that was a driving force in this, or?
See, I wouldn't have thought of myself as lonely.
Really?
I don't know that fits I'm just not. I probably can be depressive and lonely at times, but it manifests very differently from other people, I think, because I can. There's probably lots of people like me that just pour themselves into their work, and that's there's a level of satisfaction.
Yeah,
there.
The value of who you are as a person is based off of what you accomplish, and I accomplished something, so my time was valuable.
Yeah, or it's just an easy way to feel like you're doing something, and that lets you ignore other stuff that's going on in your life, and you don't feel it. You don't feel loneliness. Yeah. So I rarely have felt lonely in my life because I'm good at
Wow,
something
that's
like that.
really that's like a superpower right there, kind of, right?
Yeah, and in a moment of weakness, I got online and I'm like, all right.
In a moment of weakness, I should probably date.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, I used to be that way, and now I can't go very long at all without having a, I wonder how my friend is doing or this and that. And I don't know why that switched, but it did. It's just
Probably healthy. Probably a
probably healthier. Yeah, got
Yeah.
mentally healthier. So you met your wife online, and you had your one friend that you're doing. And how long did that whole dating experience happen?
That went for about I guess a year until we got real serious. I mean, we started off pretty serious, and then it just got more serious, and we got engaged a year or two later. I think we knew each other for 2 years.
And what was
before we
her
got married.
first reaction of you being, well, I'm a YouTuber? That's how because when you say, oh, what do you do for a living? You're like, I'm a YouTuber. That is not the answer you're expecting, right?
I don't know. I think at that point, because we met online, that was over text or something, and so it wasn't.
Wasn't that big
I
a
didn't
deal?
I didn't see the reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, and like when you guys get together and meet online and over dating, like for us older people, we actually had to go out and meet people.
Oh, yeah,
and say, hey, how are you, and all that.
Yep.
And so you dated for about a year and then got serious, and then so how old were you when you got married?
28.
Oh, so you dated for
Or 20. No, I was 29.
So you dated for a
28
little
when
while.
27 or 28 when we met. Yeah.
So all right, so
This is years of living by myself.
So you had like
before
6
then.
years. You're just doing your work and doing your thing and getting it. All right, doggone it, we have to go to another break. Everybody sit tight. His YouTube channel again is NightHawkInLight, all one word. If you can like, share, and subscribe, we would appreciate it. Sit tight. We're going to be right back.
Hey, it's Aaron with UCAN. We're out here at our 3rd annual golf outing here in the Genesee Valley Meadows. So, really good day. We have a great number of teams, great sponsorship, great people. We're hoping for a great time. The weather's good. So, we appreciate all the support we get at all of our events. It helps us fight the fight that we fight. So, thank you all. Stay the course.
It's a lot of fun with a good cause. This is a very good cause, and I enjoy doing it. And I have my sons with me today, and we're just going to have fun. We know we're not going to win, but we're going to have fun.
Oh, today is an awesome day today. This is our 4th or 5th one here, and can't thank UCAN enough for what they do, especially on this situation where they have this outing, Mark and Debbie and all of them. It's just an amazing outing, and I couldn't think of it brings back memories, but it's a wonderful thing, and we really appreciate it.
All right, welcome back to UCAN Studios. Our warrior of the week is Ben Cusick, and he is from the NightHawkInLight YouTube channel. And we were just getting into the socialized married online life, which that's a drastic change. And for someone who is a workaholic, which it sounds like that's when you get into something, you're just working. And I mean that in a positive way, being one myself. And what was that change? Were you prepared for all that?
It wasn't as drastic of a change as I thought it was going to be.
Hold on, explain that, because most people will disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think because I grew up, I grew up in a church with tons of adults around me that I was looking at, observing how their lives were throughout my whole experience growing up. That I had almost that marriage was going to be more difficult than it actually is kind of viewpoint.
Yeah, that's not most people's
No, that's not most
experience.
people. That's not most people.
So what made it so simple? What that transition?
Oh, not simple, but the transition was
Because she's moving in, right?
Yeah, she's moving in. So I don't know. I guess because I had my life already figured out a little bit, it was just more of like getting, just making her like be able to merge in and feel like she actually, it's not my house anymore. It's her house and it's our stuff. And so did
she have to get new furniture?
Not too much. Not too much. New
really?
furniture,
She lets you keep furniture?
Oh,
what about
we moved it all around though. We're still. I mean, we've been married now 3 years, and we're still moving stuff around to get it just so.
Like when I first got married, I did not realize what terrible taste I had in furniture and things.
Yeah.
And dealing with colors. My wife's like, that doesn't match. I'm like, well, those are both browns. She's like, that's not brown. I'm like, oh, whoops. Yeah, to me, it was this big transition because, you just like your stuff. And I don't know. So that's really cool that happened. So you do that, and then you started getting into, so I'm going to reference the rope video.
Okay, sure.
That's the last one I saw. So you decided just on a whim, I saw this rope making machine, right? And the thing that I found interesting about it is you tried several different things and it didn't work, and you were looking at how the machine works and what it needed to work properly, and you broke all those things down. Even for ignoramus like me, I was like, I think I could do that, right? And you found it wasn't that expensive either, right? It was.
Oh yeah, I don't know. The machine itself was $300, but shipping was $500. But yeah,
shipping was $500
from China or wherever. Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is you get it and you're like, all right, we're gonna pack this and we're gonna put it together, and then it was hay.
Oh yeah, so it's a rope machine that is meant to make any long natural fibers or unnatural fibers into rope.
Yeah,
and
you
so
say that like most of us don't get rope at Menards. Oh, well, but you were making rope.
Yeah. Well, you can actually make it by hand. So I've looked up this machine because I've learned how to make that by hand as a survival skill. I've already mentioned I like camping and things like that. Making rope is like that's like one of the survival skills that people don't teach in Boy Scouts really very often out of natural materials, and it's such a useful thing. That was for me not a particularly. The rope machine was meant to be kind of a filler video.
Well, let me tell you, from a guy who doesn't know that much, the fact that you went into the detail with the cat and nine tails and why they were better and why you use alcohol instead of the other stuff.
Oh, the cat tails, not cat and nine tails is a whip.
Yeah,
no, cat tail.
No,
rope.
whatever.
Yeah.
The furry thing on the top.
Yeah.
And about how it was made in a hexagon shape or a diamond shape or whatever it was. I can't remember that part, but the fact that you knew that and you're like, make sure you put, I think it was alcohol on there because it makes it more slippery.
Yeah, alcohol absorbs into stuff better than water. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you say that like I had tea, and we should know that. I had no idea, and I don't think like most people know that because I asked a couple people. I'm like, "Did you know that alcohol?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So I referenced it.
Yeah. Fun fact. Yeah. Alcohol. Some people would quibble over the terminology, but you can say that alcohol is wetter than water.
Wetter.
Yeah. Just to think that anything could be wetter than water is a weird thought, but it's true. It means it can stick to a surface. If water rolls off of something, alcohol probably, for the most part, is going to be able to soak in much easier. So,
anyway, you take the hay, and you didn't like the way it turned out because it's breaking, and you did something else, and you didn't like what that was, and then you went to these cattails.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, this works kind of good, and you're just making rope, and that, like, for me to say that, it's just weird, and you're like, yeah, survival skill, I
don't know. To me, that's like
it was my brain doesn't work that way.
Right.
And so for you to do that, I was like, wow, and you're like, oh yeah, that's just a filler one. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I want to sit and talk to that guy because the way your brain sees stuff is completely different from everybody else. And I like your perspective that you have, right?
Yeah. So being able to break stuff down like that is one of my,
you're really good.
One of my selling points, trying to teach people new stuff, like by showing it and like,
you dumb it down. You dumb it down that's how I interpret it. You made it make sense because when you explain it, you're using big terms typically, and I'm like, I don't know what that word means. There's 3 syllables, but when you're in the videos, and I feel like I could go to that machine and I could do that, and I knew exactly what I needed to do and how it was supposed to turn and all that. And that was just extraordinary. What other like survival stuff have you come up with?
So I've done videos on various actually a really good one is, so I didn't come up with this idea, but I have a friend down in Florida runs this big like solar and green energy supply house place, and he, to keep his property mosquito free in this swampy area he's in, he has these giant fans, and he takes a window screen, just a regular window screen, puts it on the backside of the fan, so air is blowing and sucking stuff into this screen.
Okay.
It sucks mosquitoes against it, doesn't capture other insects, and they're stuck there until you come along and you just spritz them with 50-50 mix of rubbing alcohol and water, and that kills them. And so you don't need an attractant. All you have is a fan and a window screen. The first time I tried this, I went out in the woods and I was camping, and it was a miserable experience. The mosquitoes were thick.
Yeah.
A friend of mine and I were out there, and I'm like, look, I saw this. My buddy of mine in Florida did this. We need to run down to. We were up in the UP. We went to St. Ignace to a hardware store, grabbed a fan and some window screen, came back, and I swear we killed probably 10,000 mosquitoes easy, and cleared the whole campground was like mosquito free at that point.
That really worked.
Oh,
it worked. Fan and like a stand-up fan.
Yeah,
screen
anything.
And 50-50.
Box fan, yeah, it just needs to be a fairly strong fan. And I had a power inverter and a marine battery to be able to.
And
power
you went from
fan.
getting 8 to comfortable.
Yeah. Yep.
No kidding.
Yep.
See,
and sometimes I found over the years, this was years ago, I found over the years some mosquitoes seem smarter than others, and it's a little harder to get them in. But man, the first time it worked so well that I was like, I need more people, even though this has already been made into a video by my friend.
I'm
like,
totally doing that.
People need to know about how to deal with mosquitoes, because this is amazing.
Yeah, no, those mosquitoes are kind of like people. Just some are smarter than others. I'm sitting across from one. It's just the way it is. And the fact that your brain even thinks that way, that's why I want to have you on, because I find that how you choose to look at things and like, how can I make this thing that's cool better, or I have this problem, how I can find a solution like that doesn't involve chemicals or something else, and I don't even understand how you come up with that stuff, right? But then you do, and I'm like, wow, like when you say it makes sense, but to come up with the idea, I can't get there. So if I had to ask you, what was the worst experience that you've had making one of these videos so far, where something just went horribly wrong from the way it was supposed to go? Do you have any good stories in that direction?
Oh man, that's just yeah. I mean, so the thing about making videos like I do, which are for the most part inventions of some kind, inventions don't always work, and so the worst experiences are just when I've poured 2 months into a project and I get to the end and I'm like, this is not gonna make a good video, or like this didn't work at all, and I just gotta.
So you scrap the whole video?
Yeah.
I would go through the whole 2 months and go, okay, none of this worked.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what, I would just do the whole
Sometimes I've done that, but it's like building the project is about, it can be anywhere from a week to several months.
Yeah.
Making the video, a week to a month.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it's like, do I want to spend another? Do I want to throw good money after bad, good time after bad, making this into a video, or do I just want to move on to something I'm interested in?
So what's the opposite end of that spectrum? Like, what's one of the things that you're like, man, this was really cool, and just...
Yeah, opposite end of that spectrum is usually I'll script out a video, I'll write, I'll get it all down to the last detail of how I want it before I start shooting. But then every once in a while, I get some idea just strikes me, and it's simple enough that I don't think I need to script it, and I jump it in front of a camera and I film it and edit it in like a day.
So what kind of thing have you had happen like that?
So, for example, a little while back, there was this technology that kind of went viral, this invisibility shield.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that?
It's it was like a blanket or something.
Piece of plastic. A piece of plastic, and there's some scam videos out there that are fake, fake videos, but there's a real thing, which is a sheet of plastic, and it bends the light around you, and so I found out what those were before there was much detail about them online, and so I ordered some some of this plastic, and I figured out how you could demonstrate it really easily. And I just jumped in front of the camera and I said, hey, you've probably seen invisibility shields online. This is how they work. And I was just able to explain it in like a couple hours in front of a camera. And
so let me ask you, like the ones they had where the cars are supposed to be like giving off the environment around them, is that real or is that a scam?
Cars are giving off.
Like they would pull a car behind a fern or whatever, and then the paint would have the picture of the fern.
Oh, I haven't seen that. So I was
like, that's got to be fake. Like that's got to be fake.
Could be. I mean, they have flexible screens now that they could theoretically do that, but
so you could actually make a mini garage where your car would just disappear.
Maybe. Yeah. So the thing about I don't want to talk too much about the details of the stuff.
Well, I was just curious if that is even a possibility. I mean,
it's possible. Yeah.
So is there anything, if you had to say what is your most favorite video that you've put together that was the most helpful to people, what do you think that one is? Deep thought.
Yeah, that was the most helpful. I don't think any one video is the most helpful, but having been on YouTube for as long as I have.
Yeah, let me rephrase. The one that you enjoyed that helped people, like the thing that you did, I really want to do this to help people.
Well, let me finish this thought, because I found that even though like individual videos, I have favorites. I have ones that I like, but what I've found over time, that time is more valuable than that instant, that one video, because I'm starting to see, there's people in my life like the Mythbusters or whatever that inspired me to do something. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to see as time goes on that there are people that were little kids when they started watching my videos 15 years ago. And now they're like, hey, I just am stopping by to tell you I just got my degree in physics. And
Shut up. You inspired them?
That. Yeah. And so it's that is definitely the most impactful. Not any one particular video, but just the getting people interested in like teaching themselves and learning and so that's.
So I think after talking to you, excuse me, about this is that the thing I've kind of learned from this is that your YouTube channel is about something you were really passionate about and you like to do, and it took a lot of hard work and doing, and that produced a product that people like because you did it well. I think that's kind of what I'm pulling out of that.
Yeah, even when I didn't know what I was doing, and even now I don't necessarily. I'm always changing the goal and the motivation behind my channel. But putting effort into something over a long period of time, you start to see results that you don't think. That you don't think are going to come of it.
Right, and that outcome has been. I think the last time I was over 2 million subscribers. Right.
I'm just about to hit 2 million sometime here shortly. Yeah.
Well. I have to tell you what, I really like your videos, but you as a person, once I got to meet you, I was like, man, I got to get you on my podcast because I just think what you do is extraordinary. I love the way your mind works. We have very similar tastes in a lot of things, which was amazing to me, and I just wanted to get you on here so everybody could see who you are and get your story. Unfortunately, our time is done, so it's your last chance to go down to NightHawkInLight and check out his YouTube channel and like and subscribe if you want to find out all kinds of cool things about life. Thank you for stopping in UCAN Studios. This is your last chance to like, share, and subscribe on Spiritual Warfare Unit. Thank you so much for coming in, and we will see you next week.
Do you have a nonprofit in your area that's doing a lot of work that people should know about? Feel free to contact Spiritual Warfare Unit at 810-715-9319, and we would love to have them on to see what good they're doing in the community and find out their story. Thank you so much.
Spent so much time believing the lies. I knew I wasn't meant to live this way, but my walls came down when your love shone through. Now my life will never be the same. You love me too much to let me stay this way. Jesus, there's freedom in your name. You break every chain, oh Lord. 'Cause you are above every name, Jesus. Always comes up